All right, greetings, my friends. I have a story for you today. I really love this one. It's called Freddy the Ferry. I like this story for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is about the Staten Island Ferry. This is a boat that some of you may have been on. If you haven't been on it, maybe you can still go one of these days because it's really close to us. Staten Island is an island that's part of New York City. It's really very close. Freddy the Ferry is also a terrific book because it has the story that was written by Angelo DeMao, but it also has photographs, real photos, real pictures taken with a camera, also by Angelo DeMao, and it has illustrations. It has pictures that were drawn by Nuni Hovhannissian. Alrighty, so there's also a really, really tender part of the book at the very end that I will try very hard to read out loud. Sometimes my throat closes up a bit. Alrighty, so here we go. Freddy the Ferry. Thousands of people, that's a lot of people. Thousands of people ride the Staten Island Ferry each day, each of them going different ways, some to work and some to play. From far and wide, the visitors appear, waiting for a ride to the nearest pier. I forgot that part. It's a rhyming book. Did you see that? Day and play rhyme. Appear and peer, they have the same ending sound too. Here we have, the harbor holds a statue that stands with grace, and Ellis Island holds the names of people from all over the place. Does that statue look familiar to you? That is the Statue of Liberty. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've been able to see it if you were driving over the Verrazano Bridge. Maybe you even went and visited it one of these days. There is not just one ferry. That would not be enough. And all of the ferries are confident and tough. But the newest is named Freddy, you see. He's a bit smaller and full of curiosity. Because he is new, Freddy stays at the terminal the most, but he wanted to float and be a great host. He wanted to do what the other ferries do. You might be wondering, what do the other ferries do? The other ferries, you'll see, the people get on the ferry and it takes them across the harbor, and then they can get off on the other side of the water. It's not like a cruise ship. Maybe people have been on a cruise where you go and part of the fun is being on the boat. Maybe you've gone on a fishing boat and gone fishing. These boats are for ferrying people, for moving people from one place to another. I've even been on a ferry boat where I could drive my car right onto the ferry, and the ferry ferried the people and the cars from one side of the water to the other side of the water. All right. Moving on. Freddy paced back and forth, bubbling with water far and near, when he looked at his friend Tony and said, "I wish I could get out of here." Now Tony was not a ferry. See how little he is? Tony was not a ferry, but a tugboat so buff. He was strong and smart and fearless and rough. "You just have to be patient," Tony said with a smile. "But I'm ready to work. I've been waiting a while." Freddy wanted to be the best boat on the water. He'd be faster and smoother than the fastest sea otter. Oh, let me move my thumb. See that little sea otter right there? They're pretty quick, but Freddy the Ferry, he wanted to be faster. And the people would rave, "He's the best ferry here." Freddy said, "I know I can do it. I have nothing to fear." Just about then, another tugboat pulled into dock. Tommy was pushing another ferry with a bump and a knock. "What's wrong with you, Frankie?" Freddy asked, scared. "I've got some old rust spots that I need repaired." Frankie winked at Freddy and said, You'll need to get ready. Remember to keep yourself nice and steady. Did you see that part about the tugboats? Did you catch that? The tugboats can help push the other boats to where they want to go. Boats, they're not like other vehicles where you can just hit the brakes or steer with a steering wheel. Once they get going in a certain direction, they might need a tugboat to help them. So, look at this guy. What was his name? Was that Frankie? Frankie looks like he can't be ferrying people today. He's got some broken windows, and he said he has some rusty spots. I don't think he can do the job today. I think Freddy's going to need to step in. All of a sudden, something happened inside. Freddy was nervous about giving his very first ride. What if I'm too slow? Or maybe too fast? What if I drop off my first passenger last? What will I do if I get lost at sea? Or worst of all, what if I end up in New Jersey? I like this book. Frankie the ferry knew what to say. He had to give Freddy some confidence today. There are 4,000 people waiting over there. Some fuzzy, some bald, and some with crazy hair. But each of them has a certain place to go, and you're the only one who will know. That's how Frankie talks. How to get them from the St. George terminal here all the way over to the Manhattan terminal pier? Tony turned to Freddy and looked him in the eye. Don't worry, my friend. I'll be nearby. There he is. He's still nearby. Hold on a second. Oh, I got a stuck page. There we go. I'll do it, said Freddy, his head held high in the air. I will take all of them all the way there. 5 miles is nothing for a strong boat like me, and I will show the tourists what they want to see. One by one, the passengers boarded the boat, and Freddy was strong and kept afloat. Once they were all ready and a little time had been spent, Freddy tooted his horn, and off to Manhattan they went. Freddy was still a little nervous inside, but all of the passengers were enjoying the ride. Got some happy faces there, Rob? Yep, the passengers are doing okay. Past the Statue of Liberty, the strong ferry flew, when the Liberty Ferry stopped and said, "Hey, you're new. Do you see the Liberty Ferry here?" Let's see. There she is. That's another ferry. It's a little different. My name is Lisa. Welcome to the fleet. Be careful, you wouldn't want to crash into Lady Liberty's feet. She took her passengers to visit the statue so tall. So far, Lisa was the nicest ferry of all. Freddy was almost to the terminal when he got a surprise. Another boat zoomed right past his eyes. It was Tina the taxi, and she was very fast. There was no way that she'd ever be last. Did you know that's a thing? Taxi cabs, they're not just on the roads. There's water taxis too. Isn't that nifty? They're speedy. He saw the terminal, and his big berry boat hopped as he floated brave and strong, and he pulled in and he stopped. The passengers rushed off to start their day, all of them with something different to say. We've noticed when we've read this before, there's a helicopter there, but they don't say anything about it on the page. You're going to have to make up your own helicopter story here, boys and girls. Sorry about that. That was a nice ferry, one woman grinned. Yes, it was the smoothest one I've ever been in. Another man smiled and said this ferry was quick, as a little boy waved goodbye and gave his lollipop a lick. I think they had a very good ride on the ferry. You did it, said Tony. It was perfect, I'd say. Now you have to do it 100 more times today. 100 more times? Freddy was scared a bit. But then more passengers climbed on and started to sit. "I'm ready," said Freddy as he pulled back across the bay. "I've got plenty of energy to do this all day." And that was how Freddy got his start as a ferry. But there were some days not as happy and merry. Freddy had lots of adventures, you see, too many to tell in just one little story. Another adventure is waiting, so just open the book. You will find Freddy. Hurry, go take a look. What boat is this? They don't say anything about this on the page. And that was the end of the book. It looks like it. Got a little sparkly tooth going on. That's a party boat. Look at that boat. Look at the people on there. They're having a good time. When you go on the Staten Island Ferry, you see a lot of different kinds of boats, and you see helicopters, and you probably see some planes. I love this book. And that is the end. Alrighty. So, Freddy the Ferry. The children who were here today got to start coloring Freddy the Ferry on a big coloring on the wall. But maybe if they don't finish, maybe the other children in the A class can help finish it too, okay? And then we can put that on the wall with our other vehicles. Alrighty, thanks for listening.